All right, this is going to be a fun one today. Let me be sure my correct microphone is on. It is on. Okay. People wondering, why is Justin Herbert getting so much attention despite the Chargers offense just being mid? It's because his offensive line is so atrocious. I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I've ever seen this many times when I'm looking up sacks where there's 2 or 3 defenders getting credit for the sack. This is a 4-man rush. The haphazard random dudes they have playing offensive line for them just they're not getting the job done in pass protection. Look at the right guard. Okay, you lose your feet. Too bad. Let's just I'll get up eventually. That's what it's been like for Justin Herbert all year. This is what he still does really well, though. He scrambles. He runs for positive yardage. He's run for 150 yards more than he ever has in his career with a couple of games left in the season. And he's doing a really good job of it. And it's not just scrambling for positive yardage. Here you see him versus the Titans, lowering his shoulder at the very end to get a first down. He's playing with a broken hand, but also scrambling up through the middle, finding Vidal in this case, and he's made more impressive throws than that, but I wanted to be sure I put Vidal in there. Great nephew of Hank Aaron. Not bad. Not even a godson like Barry Bonds, an actual blood relative of Hank Aaron. But he and Omario Hampton do some damage. And they don't have a great rushing attack, but they do well enough to get them into third and manageable situations. You see here on this play, this is a good and the bad of the offensive line. They don't even block this particularly well, but Omario Hampton bounces it outside. But if you see this style of run, you're going to see a lot of pulling guards. You're going to see whams. You're going to see things that they do to just give guys an opportunity to get angles on players. And the defensive end here to your left, is that Clowney? No. Does a good job of wrong arming this, spilling it outside, but the edge defender just doesn't have the right leverage. And then credit to Omario Hampton for getting the ball in. That's where the Texans' ability to stop the run needs to be better than it was last week. Azeez Al-Shire being back is a big, big deal for this team. The defensive tackle rotation and depth is going to be hopefully a work in progress as some of the new guys get more acclimated to it, but they're going to be facing offensive linemen today. They're going to be using misdirection. They're going to be pulling. They're going to have wham blocks. So how well those guys can stiffen up compared to last week when Genty had the best game of his career versus the Texans, that's a big deal today. Getting Herbert into third and long where that offensive line can hurt him is really one of the keys to victory for this game. Offensively, for the Texans, look, the Chargers have the exact same number of sacks as the Texans do, and they do it while blitzing the fewest with the lowest frequency in the league. They just don't have the blitz. This is Tui Pelotu, who's just a stud who can line up on the inside. You see him rushing versus the left guard here. Has a vast array of moves. Khalil Mack, Oweh, all these guys are rushing the passer really effectively, and they're a lot like the Texans in that they do it with a lot of discipline. You'll see committee sacks by these guys quite a few times. So I don't want to say they're a carbon copy of the Texans, but they are a team that just flat out lines up and plays good coverage on the back end, gets a good pass rush up the front. They are one of the league leaders in run stuffs, so getting a tackle for no gain or for a loss. They're really, really good at it. The Texans' offensive line, which most of you know, some of you might not, very banged up right now. Ariante Ursary, the left tackle, had a plate inserted in his hand after he broke it last week. Still unknown exactly if or how much he's going to play today. There's a chance that Titus Howard moves out to replace Trent Brown, who's definitely out. And then the question is, who's going to play left tackle? And then do they still use their jumbo package a lot? All these mysteries that we will learn very quickly. And Derwin James. Derwin James still out there. Khalil Mack and Derwin James are the two names that are very familiar to everybody and are still functioning at a high level. His ability to cover in man, he's one of the contributing factors to Travis Kelce probably retiring this season. One of 2 interceptions on the year there, so it's not like he's had an incredible year in terms of interceptions. But different type of athlete, but much in the same vein as Jalen Petrie. You just don't know exactly how they're going to use him. Does a really good job of helping them disguise their coverages and their blitzes and all of that. So CJ is going to be very aware of where Derwin James is in the game. One big X factor from this year compared to last year, I can play this with you without worrying about triggering PTSD because the Texans won this game. But you remember the Ladd McConkey touchdown run at the end of that game. One thing where I think the Texans have improved, I mean, they've definitively improved statistically on not allowing as many big plays because of pass breakdowns or coverage breakdowns. But this play in particular, you have Miles Bryant in coverage, and he doesn't get the pass breakup. But if you look at Kalen Bullock, this is one area where I think he's matured this year. You can see he's thinking interception there. You know, he wasn't at a point in his career like he is this year where he's got, actually, how many interceptions? Whatever. This year, I think he would have broken Ladd McConkey in two, maybe literally, like actually bisected him. But here he's going for the carom or the interception, and then Ladd McConkey's off to the races. They've done a better job of limiting the big plays this year. I think that you look at these two defenses, the Texans and the Chargers, both have 41 or 42 sacks coming into this game. They're both facing banged up offensive lines. The Texans and the Chargers have been both really good at taking the ball away and getting interceptions. The one big difference is that Justin Herbert's thrown about an interception per game. Remember last year he came into NRG and he'd thrown 3 interceptions all season, and then he threw 4 against the Texans. Got sacked at least 4 times. That Ladd McConkey play was after the 4th time he'd been sacked. And this year, he's improved as a quarterback in a lot of respects, but I think he's also having to take more risks as he's scrambling for dear life and sometimes taking risks with a ball that he doesn't need to. I think the Texans take advantage of that in a way that the Chargers defense is they're playing a stingier offense in terms of giving the ball away. And I think that ends up being the difference today. You can watch the pregame show on Sports Radio 610 starting at about 9 minutes. I got to get ready for that. Let's see. Chargers kick returner is out. Vidal is questionable. Yes, thank you. 3 interceptions and 4 sacks. Okay, I got my stats wrong. Thank you. Gosh, you guys are awesome. You guys know I don't do the numbers all that great. We're going to crush the Chargers. Our defense is blatantly superior. Cosmo, I appreciate your enthusiasm. Out of respect to the Chargers defense, I can't call the Texans blatantly superior to the Chargers defense. They're better, I think, and especially with Azeez Elshire out there. I think Azeez Elshire, who gets the Pro Bowl nod, mind you, while getting hardly any fan votes, he certainly wasn't in the top 10. I don't know if he got any fan votes outside of Houston. So basically, with 1/3 of the electorate, he was so good this year that players and coaches, despite Azeez having personally maimed some of their own players, voted Azeez Elshire into the Pro Bowl. I almost said Hall of Fame because I had Hank Aaron on my mind. But good job, America. And by that, I mean the players and coaches who voted Azeez Elshire in. Let's do this thing.